Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. This video we're going to talk about all kinds of little Chevy Nova details and things that you might have missed or how to tell what's what. Now, one of my subscribers asked me, how do I tell if my car was originally an AC car or if it was a heat-only car? I'm going to show you that, plus a few other things that you might need to know about your Chevy Nova. Okay, in another post, I pointed to this and said, well, this is an AC car. A subscriber asked, how can you tell? Well, in an AC car, you've got a rectangular hole that is vertical, looks like this. And in a heat-only car, you have a rectangular hole like this that's horizontal, a little bit larger also, and you can see your heater hose connections right here. Alright, so that's how you tell if you're looking at a firewall that doesn't have any heater boxes or anything on there. Alright, if it has the heater box on it from the engine side, if it's got heat only, you're going to see this on the firewall. Just a small box, blows the air into the heat coil, that's it. Now, if you've got an AC car and it has the stuff on there, you're going to see this big monstrosity that gets in the way of headers, which is probably why that hole's there. Now, I know it seems like that's obvious. A lot of you guys already know all this, especially if you're looking at it when there's stuff on the firewall. But some people don't know that. They're new to Novas or whatever, and they need to know. So, there you go. Now, next, one of the most frequent questions I see posted on Nova groups all the time, people ask me all the time, is how can I tell if I've got an 8.2 inch 10 bolt rear end or do I have an 8.5 inch 10 bolt rear end? I'm going to show you the difference. Alright, so this is an 8.5 inch 10 bolt rear end. Now, 10 bolt rear end, it just happens to have 10 bolts holding the cover on, but that's not what they're talking about. They're talking about the ring gear is being held on by 10 bolts. And as far as the 8.5 inch, see these hard squares right here? If it's got these on there, it's an 8.5 inch 10 bolt. If it's an 8.2 inch 10 bolt, it'll still have the 10 bolts on the cover and on the ring gear, but these will be almost rounded and maybe have a little divot in them. Now, there is a 7.5 inch rear end that came in some 76 or 77 Novas, I'm not sure of the year, and only in a 6-cylinder car or maybe with a 305. But either way, from 72 to 79, most rear ends in Novas, they're the same length and they interchange, are the 8.5 with the squared corners right here on the bottom. And as a side note, if you're looking at a rear end up under a Nova and you want to know if it's a 12 bolt or a 10 bolt, the 10 bolt has one bolt in the center. A 12 bolt will have two bolts side by side because it also has 12 bolts on the cover. So two bolts side by side is a 12 bolt. One bolt in the center is a 10 bolt. That's a very quick way to tell what kind of rear end you're looking at. Now, there are some 12 bolts that are not 12 bolts. There are some Pontiac rear ends that had a 12 bolt cover, but it had a 10 bolt ring gear. I don't remember which cars they came in or if you're likely to see one under a Nova. I think they were in some of the full-size cars, some of the full-frame cars, not in any of the F-bodies or the X-body Pontiacs. But anyway, there are some 12 bolts out there that have a 12 bolt cover with the two bolts at the bottom. They're not a 12 bolt ring gear, it's a 10 bolt ring gear. It just has a 12 bolt cover. And the outside cover looks a little different too. Instead of the little stamp design, so I think it's completely round. Anyway, next. Now, here's my 4-door 72. Yeah, I still got it. I hate this car. Anyway, people are constantly asking me and other people, can you convert a 4-door Nova to a 2-door Nova? Like you see some of the people on YouTube doing the Tri-5 Chevys. Well, the Tri-5 Chevys, and I think even some post-Chevelles, they have the same roof line going across the top. Everything is the same. It's the doors and the pillars and all that stuff that are the same shape. Well, on the Novas, it is not the same. This windshield is about 2 inches taller because the roof line is bubbled up a little bit. This door is 2 inches taller. So you would have to drop the whole roof down, and this is actually at a different angle. I've got the polished trim for the drip rail here, and this will not fit on a 2-door, this front section, because the front section, if you buy reproduction, the front section is the one that doesn't fit worth a dang. I was going to use this plus the rest of a reproduction set on another car. It won't work because this is a different angle than the 2-door car. So you've got this door at a little bit different angle. The vent windows are different. So there's a lot of stuff going on here, plus the quarter window. All that area is different. It would be very, very difficult to change this into a 2-door. I'm not going to say it's impossible because, you know, if you got a Sawzall and enough metal and welder, you can graft a 2-door on the back of this. Should I try it? Well, another question I get all the time is, are the fenders from a 73-74 the same as a 68 to 72? Well, this is a factory 74 fender, and this is my 72 front stuff I've got on there. and the difference is right here. There's one hole in here you have to drill to put these on. I've talked about that before in other videos. And you have to take the fender extension off that is on the 7374. So the rest of the fender is the same. Now in 68 or 69, the side markers on the fender and on the quarter panel were much smaller. Like this. See how small that rear side marker is? This is on the 69. The 73 or 70 through 74, these are larger. Like this. And also on 73 and 74, this light is moved forward 2 inches or so to make room for the big bumpers on the back. If this has got a 72 bumper on it, but if I were to put an aftermarket panel for a 68 or 70 to 72 Nova skin on here, the marker light would be back here. On my blue car, I used a 72 skin to fix my 73 skin. I kept all my 73 bumpers and stuff, and I had to basically move the hole over a little bit to get it in the right spot so it would match the passenger side. And this is the fender extension I was talking about that bolts to the front of the fender. Alright, now A-pillar covers. Inside the car, up against the windshield, going from the dash panel to your headliner, you have an A-pillar cover. This is an A-pillar cover. This is also an A-pillar cover. Now the 68s are 1 year only. I don't have a set because I'm not wealthy. They demand high dollar. They are not reproduced as far as I know. This is a 69 only because it is the same shape as this one, but it is foam padded. Whereas everything after 69, well, up until, yeah, they were metal. Now, the difference, this is actually a 4-door A-pillar, and you can tell it is longer, slightly, than the 2-door. So, it is slightly longer than the 2-door. Another clue that the windshield and all that is taller on the 4-door car. So if you have a 70 through 72, you'll have one that looks like this, but it's metal like this. 69 is this one, 1 year only. 73, 74, they're very similar, but the part up at the top, because the headliner is different, the part up at the top is made a little bit different. And I'm not going to take one off one of the cars to show you, but just suffice to say, the 73, 74s are different yet again. Another question you get all the time is the bumper filler panel, the plastic piece. What color is it supposed to be? This one's painted black and it's really dirty, but from the factory they were all painted argent silver, I think is the name. And that looks like this. Except for not all broken up, unless you're, unless you got nice stuff. I don't. Another random Nova fact, 68 to 72 hood. This little area right here is a little bit larger, the trim is larger, and this has this bow tie piece. It's a separate piece. On a 73, 74 hood, it doesn't have that piece dropping down in the front for the little bow tie emblem to go on. And this trim is different. Pretty much everything else about the hood other than the front edge is completely the same and interchangeable. Alright, now we're going to talk a little bit about what parts are available for your 68 to 74 Nova. Now, way more stuff is available from 68 to 72 than there is for 73, 74 because they changed so many things and those cars have not went up in value enough or not near popular enough or whatever for the aftermarket to start reproducing certain parts. I'm going to go over that list right now. Alright, pretty much every part of the firewall and the cowl is available. The upper and lower upper cowl, I guess upper and inner and outer upper cowl, whatever, those two pieces, the outside piece and the inside piece, both available. And the firewall available because it's the same as the 69 Camaro. Now the cowl ends, they're also available. Torque boxes I think are available. Now what's not available, the hinge pillar right here and the A-pillar, that's not available. Pretty much every other piece of the exterior is available. Entire quarter panels from 68 to 72, roof skin is available, doors and door skins are available. Inner and outer wheel houses, the entire floor all the way up to the firewall, which is also available like I said. The trunk floor, I don't think the transition panel between the floor and the rear package tray is available, but the rear package tray is available. The entire dash assembly is also available. Tail light panel available, the cross rail, all of the stuff back here, frame rails, it's all available. The deck filler is also available. Now one thing that's not available that's often rusted out is the stuff I had to replace. That side is still missing. I haven't finished it yet. This side I've replaced. Kind of did a hack job here, but it looks good from 20 or 30 feet away. But this is actually, this lip right here is part of the quarter. There's another lip underneath it that sits as part of the inner sail panel. And that inner sail panel, the inner quarters, they're not available. The rocker panels, they are available, inner and outer. Now on 73, 74s, your quarter panel, your full quarter panel is not available. They do make some patch panels, I think, that have the marker light in the correct spot. If you're going to, if your panel is trashed, you can actually change this with a 72 or 70 to 72 panel. I mean, a 68, 69 panel will also work, but the marker light will be smaller. Just preference. You can change that, and you'll have to make a little modification here, and you can put a full quarter panel on, and you'll have to make a little modification up here at the top. And it will change this body line a little bit, and it will not match your inner panel, but it will actually fit on there. The front edge by the door, the wheel well, everything's the same except for right here by the tail light is a little bit different. So you can put a 68 to 72 quarter panel on a 73, 74 Nova. You can also skin, like on my 73, I took a 72 panel and I put just a skin on it, and I went right here all the way up and went across here and then up like this and then down the side. And that works too because my sail panel was in good shape, but the rest of the quarter panel was rusted and beat up. 73, 74 door skins, not available, but the 68 to 72 door skins will fit as long as you modify them around right here because of the vent window. So there's a little bit of difference there. Everything else on the door panel is the same. Now 68s, the lock mechanism is actually, I think, farther back this way than any other year. So your lock and all that interior lock side will be in a different location on 68. That's a 1 year only thing on the doors. I don't think it's farther this way. I think it's farther back. Not sure. I'm sure somebody will correct me. All right, so 68, pretty much everything around the dash area is totally different than any other year third gen Nova. Third gen goes from 68 to 74. Now that dash, the metal part was different. The dash pad was different because the dash pad was different. Your A-pillar covers are different. Your ignition switch was in the dash panel, so your instrument panel and all that is different. Just a lot of stuff going on there for 68 is 1 year only, and those cars, you know, usually command a little bit more money, even if everything else is the same condition-wise, just because it's a unique year. Now 69 to 74, pretty much all that stuff was the same except for the A-pillars, like I mentioned on the 73, 74. Now 73, 74 cars, if you've got one of those, good luck finding interior parts. There are aftermarket headliners and there are aftermarket interior front door panels. The rears are not available as far as I know. Your sail panels are different, they're not available. And if you have a hatchback, you're gonna hate trying to find all the pieces and parts you don't have. Now there is a guy in one of the Nova groups, 73, 74 Chevy Nova group on Facebook, that started making the little hatchback boots that go around the shocks that raise the hatches up and down. I can't remember his name, but people are very happy with his product. He started making those. So there are some things out there. Now, one of the other problems that you have is 73, 74, the trunk floor is different. The gas tank's larger, one side's humped up. It's different around the back because the filler neck originally comes through up here instead of down here. Well, that's different on the inside of the trunk panel, and the trunk's rusted out, whether it's a hatchback or a trunk car on 73, 74. You're going to have to fabricate one, or you're going to have to cut one out of another car. All right, so that is all the Nova trivia and facts that I can come up with for this video. If you've got more questions, leave them in the comments. I'll try to take a bunch of different questions, make another video, and I'll answer as many as I can, enough to make a decent video anyway. So, and I can't remember who asked about the air conditioning firewall and versus the heat only firewall, but thank you for inspiring this video. See you guys next time.